Hey everyone, it's Inside the Ring with Rebecca Ruber, and today on the show we have the founder of BoxRaw, Ben Amana. For those who may not yet be familiar with the brand, let me just tell you guys a little bit about them based off of the website BoxRaw.com. So, founded in 2017, BoxRaw was built from the belief that boxing was more than just the sport or practice of fighting with fists, which is the definition, right? So, it was a lifestyle, the way in which a person lives. BoxRaw exists to pioneer the boxing lifestyle, enabling the spirit of boxing to live inside and outside the squared ring. Set on a mission to change the narrative of the sport, the vision of BoxRaw is this: to be the reason why the world got into boxing. BoxRaw produces the finest sportwear and the most innovative equipment for driven individuals around the world. BoxRaw's products are built with purpose and innovations pursued with intent. Collaborating with the greatest champions and athletes around the globe, BoxRaw accompanies any boxing journey, whether it's to strengthen your fitness, grow your confidence, or become a world champion. So welcome to the show, Ben, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me on, Rebecca. I'm excited to get chatting to you.
I'm not gonna lie, when I was doing my research and I went onto your website and saw that About Us information, I got so pumped up. I'm like, let's go, I'm so excited to talk to you. I would love to start with you from the very, very humble beginnings. If you've ever boxed, what made you pick up your first pair of gloves?
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? Because I think looking back at everything that's happened, this all roads lead to BoxRaw, right? So I got into boxing at the age of 12, so I could learn how to fight, right? I had no interest in boxing, knew nothing about it, wasn't particularly, a fan of it up to that point, but I was bullied a lot growing up. Parents came from India. We lived in India till the age of 6, moved here, grew up in an all-white Roman Catholic school. They were Christian missionaries, so they used to go around India preaching about God. So we moved here, growing up in an all-white neighborhood, naturally was a subject to a lot of bullying, racism, chased home most days from school, a lot of gang violence. And I got stabbed when I was 11 years old. And then when I came to 12 years old, I realized, fuck, it's time to put a stop to this. So I joined boxing. I joined the boxing gym purely with the intent of learning how to sort of stick up my fists and fight. And it worked. The bullying stopped pretty much instantaneously. Very quickly I was able to stand up for myself, walk with this air of confidence, and boxing I suppose just took over from that point on. So my upbringing, up to that point there, I was just a very insecure kid. I think there were two things that happened to me from a young age, which was almost indirectly getting involved in business. And then boxing, boxing continued to sort of take over. By the age of 15, the coach allowed me to lie about my age on this college application form. So I was able to become a personal trainer by the age of 16.
Wow.
And because I had Indian genetics, I had a mustache, so I was able to pass off as an 18-year-old, right? So I was taking clients in from the gym, taking clients from school, outside and that. And boxing was just always this big part of my life, right? Fast forward a few years into university, started a boxing club. We grew that to the largest society at the university. We had over 950 members at the club, which, still to this day is unheard of, for a university society to have that many members there. I think the second largest at the university was like rugby or lacrosse, which was, around 250 members. So we weren't just slightly bigger, right? We were like astronomically, bigger and a big entity. Held intercollegiate boxing events. We had the largest in UK history, actually, had up to 10,000 people going to an event, which again, a kid who's 21 years old, there's not many people that were doing that at that time. And, I was never really thinking my end goal was to sort of have a business within boxing. This was always just a passion, of mine. So even at university, the other business for me was the nightclub promotion company. And that took off as well. We were doing 8 nights a week over 6 days by my third year. And it was always, I always just had a hustle streak, right? And it wasn't because I particularly enjoyed business per se, but, I was just good at it, and it was always just a means to an end, right? So, as I look back at everything, how I've got to this point, it's like boxing and business, which is emerging, is emerging these two passions, which then created BoxRaw.
Wow. That was a lot to take in. That was a lot more than what I expected when I asked that first question. That's amazing. So when you first came up with the idea of BoxRaw, where did the idea of the name BoxRaw even begin? Let's start with that.
Yeah, so BoxRaw, it was actually, it's not that inspiring of a story, actually. So BoxRaw was actually the name of another company I had, which was it was a boxing event promotion company. And we essentially did white collar boxing events, but we raised money for charity. And the name for that, I remember we sat at coffee. I used to have a garage. I was a mechanic, so I had a vehicle repair garage and car sales garage. And I was sat opposite a coffee shop with the boxers that I was working with on this event, trying to think of names. The logic was, I was thinking big at this point, trying to think about a big promotional company and how it would work. And the concept was just that, if someone was searching boxing in Google, as you typed out the word boxing, BOX, my company name would come up. So I knew the first three letters had to be BOX, and then I wanted the name to be symmetrical. So I needed to find a 3-letter word to match on the end of it. And honestly, probably 1 or 2, 3, 4 tries, Raw came up there, and it was just instantly, right, it's BoxRaw, and that was it. So when it actually came to BoxRaw as you know it, because the idea of launching this lifestyle brand, I was trying to think of a new name. I thought, okay, if it took me best part of 2 minutes to think of the name BoxRaw for the event promotion company, I can probably do the same thing for this clothing company. And it wasn't the case. I spent 2 weeks, and I've got notebooks and shreds of paper just writing out different names, and I couldn't do anything. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to work with BoxRaw. And that was it. So it's not that inspiring of a story.
But it's very interesting how you thought of the idea of being symmetrical. Just little things like that do make a difference. And I do think the name BoxRaw, it's simple. And I think that that's what people like. I think having something just BoxRaw, it's not some intricate name, nothing super complex, just very easy to remember.
I think over time, since we've launched, it's become more apparent that people appreciate that, and even ourselves, right? Because we have just even the content we shoot in a raw style. It's gritty, it's authentic, it's not sort of tampered with. We just try and tell raw, authentic stories. So it suits us down to a T.
Very on brand. So speaking of your lifestyle brand, when you first started BoxRaw, was it initially clothes? Was it what exactly was it that you started off with to kind of snowball the brand to become what it is today?
Yeah, I think we launched with one tracksuit. We've still got it today, called the Whittaker tracksuit, in 2 colors. We had 2 types of t-shirts in 4 colors, and then a hoodie, which is called the Dempsey hoodie, which we stopped selling a few years ago because it was just too expensive to produce, and now we've just got our stuff together now, and then we just re-released it now. But still to this day, we've got customers who own the Dempsey products, and they still message us when you bring the Dempsey back. The last few years, and it's always just an embarrassing way to say no plans to, because it was just too expensive to make. But we started off very simply, and actually it's quite interesting, right? To start with the products that we launched, the Whittaker tracksuit, these hoodies, the t-shirts, as we started to seed out to the market, to different and so on, all of them refused to train in it. So the logic was that we were going to create all this fine products and people were going to train in it, but when they received it, nobody wanted to train in it. They said, look, it's too nice to train in. I want to train in my old stuff, so we had to sort of make a shift between the lifestyle and the sportswear products almost. But to say that I've had this grand plan, and it's kind of just sort of kept steamrolling since launch. So it wasn't that I planned to launch just lifestyle, it just happened that way.
So where did you end up coming into contact with your current distributors? Was there a lot of trial and error? Were there a lot of prototypes that went into play? Kind of walk me through the process of coming to have the products you have.
Yeah, I was fortunate in that I'd been sourcing and buying, from a very young age. So I actually got into Alibaba at the age of 15. I got hold of a cash card, and I actually hold the record at 16 years old. I'm the youngest bronze buyer in Alibaba history. So I was importing 10,000 units a year, from USB sticks, MP4 players, DVD players, watches, clothing, you name it, right? So in school, I was that hustle guy. Anything you wanted as a kid, I'd be able to supply that. So when it came to doing BoxRaw, it's a good question, because it took me 2 years to launch BoxRaw, and a big part of that was because while I had experience dealing with suppliers, I didn't have any experience with clothing. So I had 3 suppliers fire me before we even launched, and we got to bulk production status, and one of them in particular, that far into sort of bulk production, they just stopped the production line and said, look, we're going to give you half the money back you spent, and you got all this gear. In the end, we just had to get them made. We shipped them over to into Ghana in the end before launch, just to give them to charity. So it was a long process of dealing with suppliers, and I think more so it was less about trying to find these companies and more so around understanding quality control, understanding what the difference is between making a sample and bulk production, because I was so particular about every detail. So a lot of trial and error, a hell of a lot of trial and error. And, even still to this day, we've got BoxRaw is known amongst all our suppliers who, we've got suppliers that have worked with, the Nikes, the Adidas of this world. We're always the hardest ones to please, because then you'll know this, you've got the products right. You'll notice certain details, which the brands just don't put the time and energy into. So our margins, at detriment to our finance team, we don't try and look at margins too much. It's more about let's try and create the best quality product, and we'll worry about the cost later. The belief that I've got is that, listen, let's just try and scale the brand, and then hopefully over time, as the orders increase, then we can start worrying about margins and try and see if we can take advantage of economies of scale, things like that. But yeah, a hell of a lot of trial and error, a hell of a lot of reading, understanding about relationships. The big difference in culture was a big thing as well. That was a big shock, for the first 2 years of trying to launch it, because how I would deal with you would be completely different to how I deal with a supplier in China.
So with that being said, a lot of money being spent. While you've had a lot of ups, you've definitely had your share of downs. When you were experiencing those downs, what pushed you through to continue this brand rather than just being like, all right, I tried it, on to the next venture?
Yeah, there's a few things there. I think the first one is just maintaining the vision that I've got for the brand, like where I want to take this and where I know we can take this, is so far away from this, and also at the same time so exciting that when bad things happen, I have to just keep reminding myself of why it is we're here. Also, I'm fortunate that I've had many failed business ventures in the past, and I've had, and successful ones as well. So I've had the ups and the downs. And one of the big business which funded BoxRaw was a car sales business. So I've been working with my dad as a mechanic from the age of 12. So following university, I set up a car sales business, and that grew to a large scale, right? And that's actually what funded BoxRaw. So we haven't taken any investment from any investors and so on. It's completely self-funded. So that business, I wouldn't trade my worst day here for the best day over there, right? Because that was shit. That was real. That was real challenging. So I think coming from that environment, but at the same time, also I think just the network that I've got around me. I've got a great team, who are very supportive, and even my best friend, Pardy, who's now partnerships director. I remember within the first 6 months, I remember just driving with him, and we were doing peanuts right in our first year, and it was nothing. And then bear in mind, I went from the car sales business where I did 1.2 million in sales, right, in my second year with the car sales business at the age of 22. So when it comes to launching BoxRaw, going from that level of scale to suddenly, right, we're not making a fraction of that, not even enough. No one got paid for the first 2 years, basically. I was a one-man band for a year and a half. We weren't even able to facilitate any expenses. Everything that BoxRaw was paying for was paid for through the car sales business. I remember I was driving with him, saying, I don't know if this is working, right? And I remember specifically that conversation. He reminded Ben, you've been stupid here. It's got so much potential. He saw it. So I think it's a combination of maintaining the vision, but also having a network around you that really believes in what you're doing.
Definitely. When you said you went to university, did you take any business or fashion classes, or was your pursuit of creating this brand just from your experience of being inside the ring?
Yeah, it's a combination of that, right? So first of all, I did economics at university, and the reason I did economics was because I thought it was going to teach me about business. Anyone who's in economics university knows it's basically just a maths degree, right? They don't teach you anything about actually how to run a business. Fashion, as I said, I was buying and selling a lot of clothing as a kid. I was big on design, graphics, things like that. So I was always quite handy with Photoshop, and I knew what I liked, right? I bought and sold clothing that were in trends, so I was always quite aware of what was popping and what was not. I think generally just a business experience, right? This, as I said to you before, I've been in this since roughly the age of 12. That where that came from, the first sort of hustle in school, it was around, mum used to give me 50 pence emergency bus fare to get the bus when it was raining, right? And friends would always have disposable income from their parents. We never got anything, right? At Christmas time, we got, I don't know if you guys have it over there, we have like this, it's called the Argos catalogue. It's got a catalogue of toys and loads of stuff. And we basically got given a £20 budget every Christmas. It said, right, you got £20, pick something from the Argos catalogue. Whereas all my friends would be getting PlayStation. So I just grew up with a big chip on my shoulder, really. But yeah, mum used to give us 50 pence emergency bus fare to get a bus when it was raining, and then before and after school, friends would always just buy sweets, chocolates, and even before school they'd do the same. And I was always just feeling, quite left out. buy that. And then, yeah, one day I used that 50 pence when it wasn't raining to buy sweets and chocolates, and then went home without the money. You know, she checked my backpack, realized it wasn't there, hit me over the back of the head, told me, look, we can't afford that. You know, you use that in emergency. And then I don't even know what it was that sort of possessed me to do it, but the next day, just instinctively, I went into the newsagents, which is like the, you know, the grocery store, if you like, and they had these sherbet sticks, and they sold them for 2 pence, and there wasn't many left, and I always knew they were very popular in school. So the, you know, the idea was that I'd buy them. So I bought 25 2-pence sherbet sticks with that 50 pence, sold them in class for 10 pence. So now when it came to the end of the day, I had the 50 pence to show my mom and all this profit to buy the sweets and chocolates, and I was like, oh, this is easy. You know, and that idea just materialized over time. So it just became, started with this, you know, the sweet hustle, you know, early in school, to then the Alibaba, to then we got to a point, we set up this business in school, and we'd buy all these, you know, in bulk, we'd buy all the lunch food and drinks and cans and so on, and crisps, and we'd sell them in school. And it went, you know, we went through a period of almost taking the cafeteria out of business. But it was just that, you know, I always had that sort of hustle mentality, you know, and again, it wasn't because I thought I'm a businessman. It was because I wanted to fit in. You know, I wanted the nice clothes, I wanted the nice backpack, the shoes to wear in school, the pencil case. I wanted to be able to go to the ice skating at the weekend with my friends, go to the chicken shop in the evenings, you know, and I was never able to do that in my circle, you know, growing up. So once I found a way that I could do that, you know, I just learned on the job, if you like, you know, without directly knowing about it. So, you know, I've never taken a business course per se, you know, up to that point. It's all just been instinct, really.
If you could go back in time and speak to your 12 to 16-year-old self, is there any piece of advice you would give yourself, or what would you say to your younger self?
Honestly, no, because I feel like, you know, the easy thing for me to say would be like, you know, just be more secure in yourself. But I feel like I had to go through that. You know, if I wasn't bullied growing up, I would have never got into boxing. I would never have got into business. If I was comfortable and I got money from my parents, I never would have had that urge to try and make money on my own accord. So no, I don't know if that's a cop-out answer. But you know, again, I can look back with confidence, knowing that everything that's happened and got me to this point has made me who I am.
Was there a moment in time while you were creating your brand and while you're still building this brand, is there a light bulb moment where you realized this was what you were meant to do? This was the business venture that was meant to take off?
I get it all the time, right? So I'm very big on gratitude. I'm very big on journaling, you know, and there's probably once a week in my journal, you know, I'm just, you know, just very grateful for the business that that I'm in. For instance, every morning I'm big on rituals, right? So every morning I write down, first thing I do when I wake up is I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, you know, and probably 70% of the time on that list, you know, it's just working in the sport that I love, you know, working with people that I, you know, generally get to call my family. So, you know, I wouldn't say there's been a particularly light bulb moment. I think just progressively over the course of it, you know, more and more I'm reaffirmed that, okay, this is the path that I'm on, and, you know, this is why I'm here. So I think that's, you know, in answer to the very first question, I think, you know, when you asked about, what do I do when, you know, shit hits the fan, you know, what keeps me going? It's just reminding myself, this is, you know, I'm meant to be here. You know, I've got enough experience now with different businesses and different ventures to know that, you know, this is the right one. Listen, I'm living a dream, right? I'm working in an industry which I've grown up in, you know, I've got, you know, my bedroom room, my bedroom, the wall, I've got posters of boxers that I used to watch on TV, and now we're working with them, you know. So it's, you know, it's a dream for me. You know, we're being featured in the Creed, you know, we were featured in Creed 2, 2 years ago, you know, it's a film, you know, it's a franchise that I watched growing up, you know. So yeah, I'm blessed. I'm really, really blessed.
So as you're aware, the lifestyle brand industry, fashion in general, can be described as very saturated, right? When you're competing against brands like Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, as BoxRaw, the brand, what competitive advantage do you have over these other brands that you believe has allowed you to get to the caliber that you are today?
Yeah, I think, first of all, yeah, there are a lot of brands out there. You know, it's an incredibly saturated market, but I think while it's saturated, there's many brands out there, especially these Instagram brands, right? There's just no identity behind them, right? For us, yeah, we've got such a clear purpose, you know, in everything that we do, that it allows us to stand out, right? So how we sort of navigate that, I think the benefit of us, we're a startup, we're a scrappy startup, we are still in startup mode. From the outside, it might look like, BoxRaw's doing amazing things, and we are, externally we are doing amazing things, but internally we're just a scrappy startup, right? So I think we don't have as many loopholes to go through in order to sort of make change, so we can act quite quickly. So I think that's always a benefit of smaller brands compared to bigger brands, but I think more so is the fact that we've got a very clearly defined niche, a clear purpose, and we've built a brand, off of authenticity, not based on product. If we had launched the brand and it was just about having this great hoodie or the great, the top that you're wearing, it wouldn't have stood out, right? You wear that logo on your chest, not because it's just the product's great. You're wearing it because it says something about you,
Yeah. Well, one thing that I would like to just add as an advocate for BoxRaw is I've been shopping BoxRaw for years. I've boxed since 2016. I probably started purchasing your merch probably 2017, maybe 2018. And one thing that I do love about your brand is that you guys do come off as a much bigger brand in regards to employee-wise than what you actually are, which I find amazing, because there was something I ordered. I forgot what it was. I don't know if it was just because it was coming from the UK to the States. It was taking a little longer. I wasn't sure where it was. And I reached out to customer service. And not only do you get the name of the person, it's very personal. And a few months later, I ended up getting it like very soon after I was talking to customer service, which was awesome. And they were very on top of it. A few months later, I guess I never responded saying that I did get the product. And they followed up with me being, hey, like, I see that we had this correspondence, just want to follow up. Did you end up getting the product? And this was before I got to know you, really got to work with your brand. And I thought as a consumer, that was amazing, because any other company, they really don't give a shit, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
And to have that feeling, it really does feel like BoxRaw is a family. Even talking to Chrissy, she is phenomenal. She was great to talk to on the phone. Everyone, it seems, that you bring on board is really passionate about what they do. And I think that that's really important when you're spending money on a brand such as BoxRaw. You get the experience. It's more than just that cloth. So I think you've done a phenomenal job of creating that that atmosphere associated with your brand.
Yeah, thank you. That's really nice to hear. That's really nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part, I think that the team that we've got, I can't emphasize enough just how proud and appreciative I am of the team. It just comes down to passion, right? We're all so bought into what it is we're trying to do. We all believe, with our heart of hearts, the mission that we're on, we believe that we can do it, and we're also just trying to disrupt, we're fully back, and we in the customer service, we've got more people in the customer service team than any other division in the company, right? Because we just believe, we're trying to create a brand for the people, so yeah, it's really nice to hear that.
Okay, well, I want to circle back to your boxing days. And do you believe that boxing, getting inside the ring, has taught you a discipline when it comes to running your business? Is there any kind of parallels that you can take from how you run your business to how you were in the ring?
Yeah, it's not even just business, right? I think boxing is just in general, right? It's just synonymous with life. We talk about 3 principles here at BoxRaw, which we say are the 3 principles of boxing, which is discipline, mindfulness, and love. And the first one, discipline, which on the outset everyone can relate to, and is quite an obvious one that boxing involves discipline. But I think first and foremost, at the age of 12 years old, up to that point, teachers always tell you, you need to work harder, and you're going to get these good grades. But there's nothing tangible. There's no tangible benefit to a 12-year-old that, through hard work comes results, right? But the boxing gym actually teaches you that. And I remember, the coach would say, right, guys, you need to do 2 5-mile runs this week, off your own back outside of the club, right? And, a couple of times I wouldn't do it. But then what you find is that when it comes to sparring a week later, you've got a guy who you were doing better against, in the ring. You had the edge when you're back in the ring. The results show, right? You're going to get found out. And I think that's the key thing with boxing, compared to any other sport, because most sports are sort of team sports, but more than anything, you get out what you put in the sport of boxing, right? You cannot cheat the grind, and the same goes for life. I think having that, growing up in that environment in the boxing gym where you firsthand recognize that, okay, you're only cheating yourself. Naturally translates to, work, to life in general, and then mindfulness, the very notion of hitting a moving object, but it's trying to hit you back, and you're trying to protect your head, protect your body, move your feet in sync with the upper body. It requires focus like nothing else, right? You can't think about the past, you can't imagine the future. You have to be present in the moment, and I'll finish a boxing session, whether it's pads, bags, even sparring, and you leave so clear, right? Because you can't think about anything else. It's like I meditate twice a day, you know, and there's so many correlations between, you know, the after effects of meditation as there are with boxing, right? And then love, which is just no one ever, you know, to this day typically associates with the sport. But being the brown Christian growing up, I can never really relate to anybody, right? The Christians are all white in my school, the brown kids in the street, they're all Hindu, Muslim, Sikh. And, you know, it's not that I've got anything against any other type of religion or color, but being young, it's the easiest thing that people try and use to segregate you, right? You know, or your religion or the color of your skin. And, you know, I remember that there's one gang, there's a kid, he's a few years older than me. And I was always scared of him in the street. And whenever I saw him, you know, I'd always try and look the other way because I knew that he knew who I was and I knew who he was. And I saw him in the gym a couple of weeks after I joined. You know, he'd be going there for a while. I remember initially I was quite scared, but within, you know, moments, he walked up to me and fist bumped me. It didn't matter that we were from a different gang. You know, we were just part of this community. And that's what I loved about the gym. You know, it didn't matter where you came from. It just mattered where you were headed. They didn't judge you based on social constructs or where they thought you were coming from, you know, and that was just, it's just a beautiful thing about the sport, even to this day. You know, it's the one sport that does not judge you based on how you look, who they think you are, judges you only based on the output. You know, it's the same, we have the same culture here in the office, right? You know, we don't track working hours. You come in when you want, you leave when you want, you take as many holidays as you want. We're not tracking it. We just care that the job is done, right? We don't care where you come from. You know, if you can do the job, get the job done. You know, there's no hierarchy per se, you know, in the sense of any idea being too small, too big. You know, people are always welcome to come to my office and speak to me. They know that, you know, because the reality is, while I've got experience in business, I haven't experienced in this. I'm winging it. You know, I don't have a clue. I don't know shit about shit, frankly, you know. We're all in this journey together, you know. So it's like everything that I've learned in the gym, we bring it in here in this environment.
Well, I actually had a question in regards to kind of your career, but I just want to sidetrack real quick because there was something you said about meditation, which brought a smile to my face, because I really don't hear a lot of people talk about their meditative practices. I kind of noticed when you talked about when you wake up in the morning, you write 3 things that you're grateful for. And that's something that I've learned to practice as well over the past year. Being in quarantine, I kind of had time to reevaluate my life. And I came to, I don't think I could say that I'm fully spiritually awakened, but I do feel like I kind of started to take a few steps forward in that. And that included going to guided meditations. When did you start meditating, or if you've had a spiritual awakening, has that helped create the brand that you have today?
Yeah, it's funny. No one's ever asked me that, but it's such an important part of the brand, right? So I think the first start meditation within the first year of launching BoxRaw, and I was going through a tough time, stressing to a friend, and he was just like, "Have you tried meditation?" I was like, "No, leave me alone." You know, you check up with me a few days later. He tried it, yeah, and I was like, you know what, this guy is doing my head in. I'm just going to try it. He sent me a invite link to Headspace. I don't know if you've used it. Mm-hmm. It's guided meditation. I tried it, and instantaneously, you know, after the meditation, I was just like, whoa, I'm so calm right now. I'm feeling so level-headed. And that just sort of, you know, it continued to snowball. And so I was doing guided meditation for around a year and a half, and I realized, you know, I was doing a lot more reading. And then I heard about a meditation called transcendental meditation, which a lot of, you know, famous business people, celebrities, you know, completely all vouched for, you know, and it requires a lot more discipline. You have to meditate twice a day for 20 minutes. But it's just been game changing for me, right? I have a very stressful job. I can get quite angry at times, you know, I can be quite vocally quite angry and possibly not nice to be around, but it calms me down, right? It allows me to think about things a lot more rationally. And yeah, as part, even here with the office, right? It's like a nightclub in here sometimes, but at 3 o'clock every day. So that's my second meditation session. All the music turns off. Leave me the hell alone. I'm back to meditate. You know, so I try and have that knock-on effect with the team as well. In the new offices that we're building, we've got 2 meditation rooms. And again, it's just a big part of our, you know, our culture to be mindful. You know, take care of your mental health.
Wow, that's awesome. And one thing maybe you can give advice for someone that may start meditating. One biggest problem for me starting off was when I would get into a meditative state and I was going into it with a lot of things on the mind. I would notice when I would put myself in a specific headspace, I would still notice that those things from the outer world were starting to bother me and be involved in my meditation. What I learned to do is I pretend that I acknowledge that I'm acknowledging it. I put it into like a hypothetical envelope and I ship it out for it to come back when I'm finished with my meditation. What do you do when you are dealing with that?
Yeah, and that's the key thing, right? I think people who start meditation, they say the exact same thing. I just struggle to focus. But listen, the brain is a muscle. The same way you train any of the body in the gym, you need to train this as well. To think that you're going to go in there straight away, and I've been through this. I still go to this day. Sometimes I'll finish meditation like, oh, I haven't got a lot out of that. But you have to go through the motions, right? People train in the gym 5 days a week, right? Mm-hmm. Now, so much more going on in here, yet no one wants to take the time to really try and train their brain. So it's going to happen. And it's exactly, the moment that I feel, a thought coming in, you recognize it and get back to it. Okay. You carry on where you left off. And that's the key thing, like with anything, right? And I remember this, this idea went through my head this year because, everyone's always very reflective at the start of the year, right? But it's the same thing in boxing, right? Can you imagine being in a ring, someone hitting you, you get knocked down and thinking, fucked up now, let me just give up. You're not going to do that. It's going to happen, right? You just recognize it and you carry on.
Yeah.
But it's because when you're there in your own headspace, it just feels like time is not moving, right? You just like, okay, I'm thinking about something else, what's actually happened. But the key is you got to stay disciplined with it. You have to work through it.
Wow. I never put 2 and 2 together like that, but it makes a lot of sense. I learn something new every day. I'm going to take that into thought now. So going back to my original question before I got into that, do you believe there was a specific event or a moment in time where you had your first big break in your career?
Big break in my career.
Like something you think that so for example, if we're talking Instagram following, you went from 10,000 followers and maybe someone shouted you out and that just boosted your sales or boosted your following. Is there something you could come up with that there was like a significant change from we're at this level of a business to, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah, it hasn't, honestly, and I'm not trying to cop out the question, but our growth has been very steady over the years, right? And we've grown comparatively at a very fast rate year on year, but it's been very consistent. When you analyze our growth, it's around 300% year on year. Since inception, there hasn't been that one tipping point. Now, every single year, I'm like, this year's going to be I think next year's going to be our tipping point year. We've got some big things happening. But there's been a few things that I've always thought were going to be that tipping point, and then it actually didn't turn out to be. But I think externally looking in, things that really got us a lot of recognition was the very first deal we did with Lomachenko. We did collaboration with him. Gervonta Davis, Creed 2. They were sort of big events externally, and people were like, oh, okay, these guys are serious. It's not just a small boutique clothing brand. And I think internally as well, there were things that really made us happy as well.
Well, that's a great transition because I was going to note that you've worked with a lot of phenomenal boxers, Lomachenko being one of my favorites, Usyk, Davis, Errol Spence Jr. Has there been a fighter that you've worked with that you're like, whoa, they are literally wearing my brand right now. They believe so much in my brand that they're working with me that it kind of put things into perspective of where your business is going?
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to cop out, right? I've got a big vision for this brand. Okay. So it becomes part of, and people, there's been so many big things that have happened over the last couple of years, and people are like, Ben, why don't you get happy about this sort of stuff or show any emotion? But I think it's just because I've got this vision of where I'm trying to take it. I'm like, this is why we're here, right? We are not, while I'm appreciative of it, very appreciative of it. It's just part of the process, right? I back myself, the team, we all believe it as well. I think for me, within a couple of months, we were already in position because we launched at the perfect time, right? If we had a launch now, or 2 years ago, our strategy was through Instagram initially, right? So when we launched, Ryan Garcia had, 6,000 followers, for instance. So me and him, we sort of come up together, if you like, we were back and forth with each other. And it was so easy for us to message a boxer in their DMs, and they didn't have all this filtering stuff. So it would just appear in their DMs. So we had access to this, no one was really trying to do anything on boxing. So boxers were only just jumping onto IG before they were on Twitter. All boxers were on Twitter. They were just loudmouths, right? So when we got on there, it was quite easy for us to infiltrate that space. So within probably 3 months, we were already sort of seeding to world champions, building these relationships, and everyone was, very complimentary of the gear. I think also we were followed by a lot of boxers as well, right? Because we were able to speak to them, coming from the boxing background that I do, I knew what it was that made them tick, right? So I was able to speak to them in a way that wasn't commercial, didn't seem inauthentic. Like we see big brands now trying to get involved in the sport, and they don't have a Scooby-Doo what they're saying, even the way they take the photos, it's like you're not talking about the journey, right? They just talk about the end result, and that was a big thing for me. And when it came to launching BoxRaw, was that you know, I was actually running down the street. I was training for a fight at the time in this Adidas tracksuit. And I remember just thinking, I want people to know I'm training for a fight, right? I was proud to box. And the more I looked into it, I recognized that there wasn't a brand that represented boxing. The ones that came before us, they just focused on the end result, you know, boots, gloves, shorts, it was fight night. None of them talked about the journey, but for me, it was the journey to get to that point. That was what was most magical, right? They all disregarded that. So I think when it came to launching BoxRaw, I tried to communicate that through the Instagram. That was our customer facing touch point, right? And I think boxers recognize that, okay, these guys know what they're talking about, right? The history, we used to do a lot of throwback posts talking about historical events of boxing, you know, the knowledge that I had. And even now, you know, I've got a team now, shout out Lee, you know, Mark, Pardy, who've, you know, incredible boxing heads. These guys will, you know, these guys are just trump cards of boxing, you know, knowledge, if you like, you know. So I think people, the boxers appreciated that and knew that we were legit and actually trying to make a change in the industry.
Well, we were just talking about how you've expanded your brand. Your brand, starting off just being a lifestyle brand, has branched out to a bunch of different things. And I kind of want to touch on that now, starting with you founding the Boxing is Love, which is a charity that teaches the sweet science to children in different countries. Can you go into further detail about why you started up this foundation and what you have done with it since?
Yeah, so it comes back to the vision, right? The vision is to be the reason why the world got into boxing. Okay. Now, I can't be true to that vision if I disregard a third of the world's population who don't have access to the sport. Right. So growing, you know, Indian background, you know, traveling to India once every year, once every couple of years, you know, you start to recognize that the only thing that sort of separates us and them is just opportunity, right? There's no different, you know, I'm just way more blessed than them, you know.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, the Box was a purpose-driven company, you know, driven out of the vision to be the reason why we got into boxing. So Boxing is Love is just an extension of that. You know, it wasn't that we were trying to just create a charity for the sake of it. It was like, okay, if we want to really fulfill this mission, we've got to have, you know, a philanthropic side to our company. So that launched a couple of weeks straight after launching BoxRaw. Initially, again, I've been very naive in this whole process, even since launching BoxRaw, even now, right? I don't know what I'm doing. And I remember over the course of a few months, negotiated with somebody in Nigeria, ended up wiring some money to a guy over there to buy some land for us. You know, the guy went AWOL, you know, from us. So it's had its ups and downs. It's still, even to this day, has its ups and downs. But to bring more people into the sport, you know, we've done, I think, probably 7 or so mission trips, been to Liberia. And the goal is to build a boxing gym there. So building a boxing gym there made out of recycled shipping containers. If you Google Boxing is Love on YouTube, Boxing is Love Gym, you'll see the concepts of what it is we're trying to build. And hopefully next year we can actually start making a bit more headway on that. It kind of, everything got stopped over lockdown. But now because of that, we're doing a lot more locally. You know, we're doing stuff over here in England, stuff in America, trying to bring boxing into sort of grassroots communities where otherwise they wouldn't be able to get into it, you know. And, you know, it's great because I firmly believe that if we do good in the world, you know, the market will reward us. You know, if we can create more, you know, economic advantage in different communities, it's only a matter of time before those places get built up, and, you know, they'll repay that. You know, it's just the idea of being able to sort of do good in the world and also sort of create a business and lifestyle around it. It's just, what more could I ask for?
I want to go back to something you just said in your response of saying that going into creating this business, you feel like you've been somewhat naive. Do you feel like that being naive has actually helped you take risks that if you thought out certain things a little more, you wouldn't have been able to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I think it's that, right? And it's, I'm not scared, right? I just don't care. Like, you can't, I've been through a lot of my life, right? And I can touch on this very lightly, okay? I almost got sentenced to 7 years in jail around 5 years ago, more than about 6 years ago. I had all my best friends around me completely ditched me, stitched me up. And it got into a situation where it was sort of dog eat dog, whereby if they hadn't told the truth, they'd be in the same position that I would be in. And long story short, I went to court, bags packed, think I'm going. And yeah, it's, I didn't go, right? Essentially, a witness didn't turn up and I got let off. I got the second chance at life, right? And because I've been through that and I had this sort of 9-month period of thinking that I'm being locked away for something I haven't done, that's the worst I've ever been through, right? Can you imagine living your life right now, enjoying it, enjoying this talk we're having, but just thinking in the back of your mind, right, in 5 minutes from now, 9 months from now, wherever, I'm not going to be here to enjoy life, right?
That's one of my biggest fears.
Yeah, it's, and also furthermore, for something you didn't even do.
Yeah,
Something you didn't even do.
horrifying.
And then, like, for me to get back to that point, I can never get back to that point, right? I don't mix with that circle. You know, I've had my fair share of doing stupid shit growing up, but I'm past that now. So for me, you know, I always just remind myself that I can't get back to that point, which is I think why I kind of live life on the edge a little bit. And even this team around me saying, you know, Ben, you're risky, man. I'm like, what have we got to lose? You know, yes, albeit now I've got a bit more responsibility, got, you know, a bigger team I'm responsible for. So maybe I can't live as much on the edge as I used to, but at the same time, I'm just, you know, I firmly believe and know that I can get there, that if I fail along the way, I'm still going to get back up and carry on. You know, you would literally have to throw me in jail or, you know, kill me to try and stop me or get me to that sort of point of darkness again. So yeah, you know, I was kind of touching at the start, but I think everything that I've been through to get to this point is just, you know, I'm so firm in what I'm doing that, yeah, you can't stop me.
I'm just thinking about the fact that, mind you, I didn't know that you could have been away to jail for 6-7 years.
I'll still be in right now. I'll still be in. Listen, all that money that I told you I made in the car sales business at that young age, that all went into legal fees. So all that money I made went straight back into legal fees, you know. I had to get, you know, Queen's Counsel barristers, you know, which is very expensive lawyers, to defend me, because it was a case that literally there was no like community service. It was like you are going to jail for minimum 3 years, but the Crown prosecution were pushing for 7 years. You know, I'm not saying this for sympathy whatsoever. I'm just, you know, the point is that I can't get back to that point. You know, you would literally have to throw me back in that same situation, which is never going to happen, for me to be that down again. And it's the downest I've ever been, you know.
You've taken a situation like that. Now, people could take that one of two ways. Either they could take that and say, the world is against me, everyone sucks, and just live very bitter. Or you could take it the way you have. You've used it as a second chance at life. You're not going to fuck this up. And here you are, you look up your name, and Ben, the first thing that pops up is your Forbes article. Like, that's nuts. That's insane. That blows my mind. And for people that have been in similar situations than you, maybe not as severe, maybe more severe. I mean, everyone, you know, there could be people that are happier than you. There could be people that are sadder than you. But you are such a great role model for those people that are just going through a rough time right now, that they don't know where to go. They don't know, like, should I just give up or should I just keep pushing? And for the people that may be listening that are on that route right now, that they don't know whether to take left or right, do you have any words of advice to them?
Yeah, I think the key is to find out what makes you tick, right? You need to maintain that vision of what it is you want. First of all, find what it is that makes you tick, right? Find that why, because I'll go through it still now, right? I might sound very confident and, you know, directing where it is I'm trying to head, but I get times all the time, I'm just like, is this even worth it? You know, I'm contemplating, I've never worked for anyone else, but, you know, it goes through my head all the time. What would I like to work for anyone else, right? The key is when you've got that vision at the back of your head that you can just keep relating to, it makes the whole process that just makes it slightly easier, right? It's not easy. It's never going to be easy, but you need a purpose in life, right? Yeah. You can't just, I have friends from all over the world that do a range of things, right? It's not just people that are involved in businesses, people that are involved in boxing, but you can be a teacher, right? And I've got a friend who's a teacher, but they're so passionate about teaching, and that's why we can relate. It's the people that don't have a real purpose, right? And all they do, they come home and they just moan, oh, I can't wait for the weekend. Like, I've got nothing in common with you. If you tell me you're, you know, I speak to people sometimes, oh, I'm doing good, it's a Friday. You know, like, what do you mean it's a Friday? Like, I mean, for me, I'm 7 days a week, right? But even on Monday, as well as I can be for a Monday, I'm like, well, you are doing the wrong job, okay? What you're doing in life is not adding any purpose or, you know, any energy. It's not enlightening anything you're doing, right? So that's the key. If you're going through hard times and, you know, and you think you're still stuck in that rut, find what it is that makes you tick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just don't take your foot off the gas.
So I had wrote on Twitter as well as on my Instagram, just for people to send me in a few questions to ask you. And so we're going to go into a few of those later on.
Did anyone even respond? I wasn't even sure. No one, I'm flying on the radar. I was thinking, oh, no one's going to respond. I saw the Instagram tag. I was like, good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, one question that I found significant, some of them were a little silly where I was just like, I don't know, like a lot of them were kind of similar to what I've already asked you. So I didn't specifically say that person asked, but I did have a listener write in and ask, do you do anything as a brand to support specifically the amateur boxing community, which seems to be a loyal and core demographic for you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's something that we completely neglected to start with, right? So to begin with, I thought we were going to launch this through amateurs, okay? And it was like, as I said, within the first couple of months, we were able to infiltrate this elite level of boxing. So it just got forgotten about, in all honesty. And it's, you know, something which I apologize outright for, right? We completely neglected the amateur community. Just this year, or a few months back, we've implemented the amateur boxer discount. So anyone who's an amateur boxer, they get a significant discount from the site. And it's about trying to bring, you know, try and make our products more attainable to, you know, a sport where typically it's from a sort of lower socio-demographic group, right? We're doing a lot more in the next year back in the event space with amateur gyms to try and sort of work with them in terms of, you know, gifting of equipment, doing events with the amateurs, and sort of telling more of their stories through our platforms. So historically, we haven't done a lot. We are making progress. You know, we've got things in place to try and shift that around, because I'm fully aware that we've neglected that, completely neglected it.
And do you feel like now taking this next step and really helping support the amateur boxing community, do you believe that the steps you're taking are influenced by what you experience as an amateur in the ring, where you realize, I wish I had this source or these tools, or et cetera, et cetera? Absolutely.
Like we've got equipment we're launching next year, which we've been working on for longer. We've been working on box for like 5 years, some of the stuff. You know, we've got patents on there. We filed for 16 patents over the last 2 years. Only one of those products have launched, which is the knuckle guard. You know, we've got skip and ropes coming out, completely unique, proprietary to us, boxing gloves, head guards, groin guards, boxing bags, you know, and it's like, this industry is just full of dinosaurs. Nobody's trying to innovate. You know, the most innovation we've seen is like the changing of a color or a texture on the leather or something like that. No one's really tried to innovate here. So while it's taking a hell of a lot of time to get to this point, I'm so confident in what we're doing that we are going to completely take over the space. We're going to monopolize the entire industry.
I find it interesting that you're going into creating boxing gloves, because I do feel like out of anything in the boxing industry that's retail, but boxing gloves are something that you have every brand that's in the sports industry have at least a pair of. So what's going to be different about your gloves, and for what we're going to pay to purchase those gloves, that make it worth buying your gloves over a more established brands like Rival or Venom or I don't know, Winning? What would be the difference in your gloves?
Yeah, so I can't talk too much on the patent points, purely because they're still going through the process of being, you know, applied and granted. But, you know, one example, right? One of the patent points is to do the actual shape of the glove, you know, and the actual pattern of the glove. Now, that's the point. Boxing gloves have been made the same ways for hundreds of years with little to no innovation, right? Now, the velocity exerted by a boxer in this short window of space-time is greater than that of an F1 car, you know, or a baseball bat swing. Now, a boxer gets from 0 to sort of 35 to 40 miles, an elite boxer, 0 to 45 miles an hour in this short space. There's nothing on this planet that can go from 0 to 40 in this short space, right? Impossible. Impossible. Yet your hand can do that. Yet nobody's tried to improve the aerodynamics of a glove. Okay, we partnered with I can't say the name. We've partnered with a famous car manufacturer with an F1 team, and we've used a wind tunnel. A wind tunnel is what they use to improve the aerodynamics of rocket ships, of F1 cars, things like that. We put our glove through the wind tunnel and improved certain nuances of the glove to make it simply fly through the air faster. Now, it doesn't mean we've taken a glove which is like that and then simply made it like that to fly through the air. Obviously, you know, we've got certain limitations of what we can do, but our glove already in testing, you can use a 16-ounce glove of ours, and it feels like a 12-ounce glove when you're punching because of the weight distribution and how it's made. You know, we are really trying to improve the anatomy of, you know, the fighter, you know, and I had to start boxing competitively at the age of 21, roughly because of arthritis, right? So it got to the point where I was having to get the coach to wrap my hands, you know, which an amateur club is long, right? Everyone just uses hand wraps, but I'd have to have a special hand wrapping session for me because my hands would just ache the next day. You know, I have to wear very heavy 18-ounce gloves. And it's just annoying. It almost ruined it for me. You know, I'd go to a boxing gym on my own, wanting to hit the bags, and I've got to try and find somebody to wrap my hands, you know, wrap my hands or tie the gloves up for me. And if you don't know how to tie gloves, you may as well just want a Velcro glove, you know. So another one of the innovations is that for the Velcro option, we've got an innovation in that Velcro, which essentially provides the same support as a lace-up glove, but with the simplicity and the with the simplicity of a normal Velcro glove, right? But it tightens in multiple places, for instance. So there's loads of innovations. There's loads of innovations from the leather that we're using, the foam, completely proprietary foam. You know, most companies, when you buy a glove from them that says it's 12 ounce on the glove, it's usually like 12.8, 13.8, you know, something thereabouts. We're precise. I mean, if you buy a 12-ounce glove from us, it's going to be 12 ounces. You know, we've just gone above and beyond anything that anyone would expect.
And with that being said, are you creating the glove so that the average person can use that glove and just hit the back, or are you creating it with the goal in mind for it to be approved by different commissions to be able to use it in a professional or amateur fight? Because I know that they can be very particular in what brands they allow in the ring.
Yeah, both, absolutely. I mean, to start with, we're focusing on this sort of elite glove, you know, for the professional individual, which will be a training glove. Then it will be the fight night glove. Then we'll start to get sort of low price point options. But to start with, the intent was trying to make a glove that really shocked the entire industry.
Awesome. Well, I also wanted to talk to you on the website. I saw there was the introduction of the black card. What exactly is that, and how does that work for the consumers of BoxRaw?
Yeah, black card is boxing's lifestyle club, right? So boxing is a lifestyle, right? And I'm a firm believer that the way that a boxer goes through life is very different to that of like a normal individual, right? We're just wired a little bit differently. So it's essentially a loyalty program. Okay, so the more the customer spends with us, the more points they can gain. The more points they have, the more they can level up the ranks, right? From bronze, silver, gold, platinum. As you go up the ranks, the benefits increase. And we've also got partners that we're starting to bring on from different, you know, completely non-compete industries, from protein companies to CBD to gyms, you know, to memberships, from spaces. You know, we're speaking to a lot of app outlets, you know, for apps that we use on a daily basis. So we're just trying to create, it comes back to trying to create a brand for the people, right? Understanding our target audience. What is it that makes them tick? Can we get a partner that can provide a discount or something for free for them, you know, that can just make life that little bit easier? It's completely free to sign up to, you know, Black Card members. There's free gifts every month that they get. They can add it to a basket for free. We've got a really cool product roadmap over the next sort of 12 months of just random gifts that just nothing would ever sell, right? But just cool things, just cool shit that we can just give to them. It's like, you know, it's got branding on it, and we just, you know, we've innovated in that in some degree. So that's what it is.
Awesome. Well, if you guys are currently checking out BoxRaw.com while you're listening to this episode, definitely join right now. It's free. So no one can go wrong with free stuff. I mean, come on.
No.
So before we conclude this interview, I have a segment that I like to do on my show called Unboxing the Boxer. And pretty much that's just a speed round of a bunch of different questions, either questions that people have sent in or just random questions that I've used in the past. You just answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Pretty simple. Yeah. All right, you ready?
Go on.
All right, so first question. If you weren't the founder of BoxRaw, what could you picture yourself doing currently? I know it's not a speed response for that one. I'm sorry.
What should I picture myself doing? I'd be a boxer. I love the sport. I'd be involved in the sport in some capacity as some sort of, whether it's business promotions, you know, I'd be involved in the sport, maybe not just founder of BoxRaw, whether it be a promotion company or an actual professional boxer. Sorry, it wasn't quick. I'll try and be quick next time. Let's go.
I know I threw a wrench in there. That was, yeah.
Yeah, it's so because I'm so just set. People ask me this all the time. What would you do if you weren't doing BoxRaw? I just can't imagine a life that I'm not doing BoxRaw. Yeah.
Favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team, Manchester United, football.
Favorite food?
Dim sum, Chinese.
That sounds good. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Ooh, good one. Gladiator.
Which one?
Gladiator.
Oh, okay. Favorite music art? Wait, what?
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it, no.
Gladiator, Russell Crowe. Oh my God.
I know. But actually, wait, no, I lied. I have seen it. Seen it. It's like a 3-hour movie, right? That's the one?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, over 2 hours, yeah.
Okay, I did watch that. You know what I did watch? I didn't watch 300. That's what I was confused.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not that bad, I promise. Favorite musical artist?
Favorite musical artist right now. Right now, a guy called Digger D over here in the UK. I'm very much into my UK drill. I don't know if a lot of your audience listens to UK, but I'm a big UK advocate, UK rap, UK drill, grime. Yeah.
What type of music do you like to listen to when you work out?
We've got a harder, faster, smarter playlist on our Spotify, BoxRaw Spotify, but it's a mix, right? I've got such a wide variety of music I listen to, from classical to rap, some very, very light rocks, house, electric. But the workout playlist we've got on Spotify is a mix of, old school rap, new school, UK drill, some American drill, and a very little light sprinkling of rock.
So is this playlist you're talking about, is this like sponsored by BoxRaw where people can go and check out?
Yeah. It's on Spotify. If you just search BoxRaw, our playlist will come up. There's one called Harder, Faster, Smarter.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm definitely have to check that out.
Yeah.
Favorite boxer at the moment?
Favorite boxer at the moment, John Davis.
Okay. Biggest fear?
Biggest fear of failure.
Spoken like a businessman. Favorite holiday? And by holiday here in the States, I mean like Christmas, Halloween, Easter.
Christmas, without doubt.
Christmas. Why do you like Christmas?
I love it. Yeah, just it's the only time that I actually can logically say to the rest of the team, right, I can take this time off. I can just concentrate on doing absolutely nothing at the moment. And I just like being around I like being around family. I keep to myself in terms of just keeping to the business. Don't spend a lot of time with family. So when it comes to actual Christmas time, it's just nice to actually get back.
And not have to think about anything like that.
Yeah, just not feel guilty for being there with them. Whereas, we'll do other stuff, we'll never see each other for Easter or, we don't have Thanksgiving over here. So that's not a thing either. So Christmas is the only time that I can really sort of, spend quality downtime with them.
Okay. A thing that annoys you the most?
The thing that annoys me the most, lazy people. Just lazy people with no drive, people with no ambition, just really annoys me. People that moan, who have every opportunity out there, right? If you're from the UK or the US and you moan about the position you're in, no, you come on a boxing love trip to Liberia, and you'll see the big difference in opportunities that we have here. So yeah, no ambition, lazy people, people that moan about the position they're in and just refuse to do anything about it other than just moan.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. Favorite animal?
Favorite animal? The eagle.
Eagle.
A great eagle. A great eagle, yeah.
What's the
I'm saying that. So I'm saying that because I had a conversation the other day about if you could be any animal in the world, what would you be? If you could be an animal for like a week, what would you be? And mine was an eagle. I'd obviously want to fly around and just witness the world. But actually, that's it's not actually my favorite animal. It's what I would be. My actual favorite animal that I think is incredible is an octopus. Such a smart animal, right?
You said an octopus?
An octopus, yeah, incredible beings. Incredible. They can change colors. They can get weird shapes. So smart. One of the smartest animals. I think the smartest animal out there. Yeah, really, really cool.
Usually I get like dog, cat, bear. Oh. Octopus was a first. So thank you for officially stumping me on that one. Favorite store to shop in? Any type of store.
Amazon. I'm going to say it's my favorite. I enjoy using Amazon, but I just use it the most. Right? I don't shop. I live in a town center, and I'm just, I've got accustomed to, one day delivery. So, Amazon for everything. I don't really do grocery shopping either. Everything sort of goes through there.
While I said that question to you, I just have another question that popped up in my head. If you haven't already, would you do like a pop-up store, or would you actually have a storefront one day for BoxRaw?
Yeah, 100%. It's next year we're going to start trying to go back to evidence today, but we're picking up the conversations we did before lockdown, wanted to do it, and obviously that hit. But yeah, it's a big part of our strategy for the next sort of couple of years, which is pop-ups to allow people to sort of immerse themselves into the brand and what we're about. But longer term, absolutely. But it's less about like a store. It's more going to be an experiential center.
Well, the moment you open one up in New York City, I am the first one getting a ticket, or whatever you choose to do. I'm the first one in line because I'm ready to see BoxRaw live. So you kind of talked about this, but maybe you do have one. What was your first job ever?
I've never had a job. I've never worked for anybody else, apart from working in the boxing gym as a personal trainer. It's always been my own thing. So I've never wrote a CV. I've never had to do an interview. I had a paper round actually. So I had a paper round. I got fired. Got fired from the paper round at Christmas. I took loads of shifts at Christmas, and I don't know why they annoyed at me, but the guys gave tips at the end of it when it came to Christmas time to the guys doing the paper rounds. I was probably like 10 years old, 11 years old, and I just kept them for myself. And apparently I was expected to give them back to the people's rounds that I took over, and they fired me. That's the only job I've ever had.
Jerks. Well, they shouldn't be expecting any free BoxRaw merch from you anytime soon. If you have a middle name, what is it?
James.
James. Okay. Favorite song at the moment?
Favorite song at the moment? What we listen to a lot at the moment? God, what's playing at the moment? There's another song at the moment from the artist you asked about, the favorite artist at the moment. Diggity Woi, WOI. Again, if there's any Americans listening to this and they're not too familiar with
Goes over my head. I have no idea who or what that is.
Yeah,
I gotta check it out now.
Well, do. I mean, listen, it's quite intense UK drill, but yeah, I love it. It's just the big difference between sort of UK rap and American rap is just that UK rap is a bit more dark and it's very much storytelling. You know, it's not a lot of flexing per se. It's very much okay. I've been through this, so you just it's like watching. It's like listening to a movie sometimes. You know, some of the stuff they talk about. So it's stuff a lot of the stuff I can relate to. So I think that's why I listen to it.
See, I never knew that about UK rap, is that it's more story based, which I always prefer. I don't like the super glitzy bougie sort of style of rap. If it has a good beat, I like it, but I'd rather have a story behind it for sure.
Yeah,
like we have that with like J. Cole is like kind of our guy here in the States. That
of course, No, don't get me wrong, I'm not against you. I listen to a hell of like US music, right? In fact, I've played this for both on the BoxRaw Spotify. There's a song called UK Connect, which is exclusively sort of UK rap, drill, grime, and if there's anyone that's interested in hearing a bit more UK music, then highly recommend it.
Okay, I'm definitely checking that out. If you could choose one superpower, what would you like to have?
This conversation the other day as well. It would be to fly.
I was figuring you were going to say that because of the eagle comment before. But...
Yeah, we had one pervert in the office said that X-ray vision. But no, for me, it would be to fly. Definitely, I love the idea of being able to fly. Yeah.
Go anywhere you want. You don't have to pay for travel. Yeah. Sounds amazing. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Just be able to experience like what life is like up there, and also get around so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. I never understood when people said they wanted to read people's minds. That's like the last thing I want.
No, I don't want to know what people are thinking about. The less I know, the better. The less I know, the better.
Yeah, exactly. Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? Squid Games recently. I fucking love that. I really enjoyed it.
Everyone's talking about. I have to watch it now.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Gosh, there's a few action steps for you after this, which is BoxRaw, Spotify, UK Connect, Squid Games. You said you've seen Gladiator.
Yeah. I did, yeah. I guess now I have to see 302, even though that wasn't like one on your list. But now that we brought it up, now I have to watch that.
That's good. It's not as good.
There's so many good shows out recently on Netflix.
And it's annoying. It deters you from working a lot, and I've got a very addictive personality. So the moment I watch one episode, I'm like, I will back to back watch them one night, and then like sleep the next day.
Yeah.
It was great. I really enjoyed Prison Break when that first came out. What else I enjoyed? Breaking Bad, all the normal ones.
Yeah. Favorite snack?
Favorite snack? I don't know if you have them over there. They're called party rings.
Party rings?
It's like a biscuit. Yeah, it's like a biscuit. And it's got this sugar, like hard icing on top.
Okay.
They're very thin, but they got the perfect balance of icing and biscuit.
What type of icing is it?
Sugary. I'm going to bring you a pack when I come to America next month.
Okay, definitely. Oh, that works. That works for me. Country you would love to visit?
Country I'd love to visit. Japan without a doubt. Yeah.
That's mine too. I just think the culture and the art's so gorgeous there.
Yeah, and the food. I love Japanese food. I love Japanese food. Yeah.
I've never been to Asia, so I've never had authentic Asian food. So I think that would be, that'd definitely be an experience I'd love to have.
Yeah.
Last question. What is your 5-year plan?
5-year plan. It's a good question. How do I articulate this in a condensed way? I suppose to scale this company up, right? To scale this company up, within 5 years, we've got certain revenue goals, but 500 employees within 5 years. There's certain divisions of BoxRaw I really want to branch out. BoxRaw Women, is a big part of our strategy, focus for next year. And long term, I think that would be big in the menswear actually. That club I had at university, 950 members. Over 70% were female, so I really believe in the power of, women in boxing, not just for the perspective of trying to compete, but, I fundamentally believe that every woman should know how to throw a punch, especially in today's day and age, self-defense. So BoxRaw Women is a big part of that. We've got another arm of the business called BoxRaw Labs, which will be launching, which is the technology arm of the business. that will be fully resurrected by that point, and hopefully being used to inform analytics within boxing for the boxers themselves, for promoters, for broadcasters, and so on. And then the charity, you know, I really want to start making some real progress on building these gyms in different countries across the third world.
Well, you're doing amazing work. I can't wait. I've seen, I guess now that I realize it's been about 5 years since you've created BoxRaw, as a brand, I feel like I've been there practically from the very beginning, from a consumer, getting to interview now it's been an honor. So thank you for coming on the show and being a part of my personal journey, as well as kind of venturing into the boxing industry as a boxing reporter. And I can't wait to see the progress, the 5-year, just the incline in your success.
Yeah, thank you. We've got a long way to go. I feel like we're just getting warmed up though. You know, we've got a lot of disruption to do. You know, a long way to go.
If there's any social media or anything else you'd like to plug before we wrap up, this is your time.
Yeah, BoxRaw, right? BoxRaw. I don't do a lot of my personal, but it's just Ben.Amana, AMANNA.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for coming on the show.